We're here.
I wish I could give this feeling. I wish I could give this feeling. On the corner.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Corner Podcast. Kel Dansby here with the old man Andreas and Kel. Producer Coale Bay Bay lurking in the background as he does getting his Dexter Loomis on. Because today, to start the show, we are joined by Grapsody podcast own Phil Lindsey joining our show today because it's all pro wrestling. We're talking about AEW, WWE, NXT. Is that all that happened this weekend in pro wrestling? I think that's it, right?
No, man, I put out a poll. Like a little bit later, we'll discuss like each of those shows. I put out a poll and said, what was the most entertaining show of the weekend? NXT Worlds Collide, AEW All Out, WWE Clash at the Castle, or the AEW All Out post-fight media scrum. The overwhelming winner was the AEW post-fight media scrum.
Landslide.
Because Punk went absolutely nuclear, torched Colt Cabana, Hangman Page, the EVPs, which would be the Elite.
Yep.
Swerve and Keith Lee had their way with the media as well.
that they did.
And in the middle of that conversation, we see security take off, and there's a fight in the locker room, reportedly between the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, and Ace Steel, who's out here. Yo, Ace Steel, before we really get into it, and Phil, we're going to bring you in to talk about all this. Ace Steel showed up, said fuck on live television.
Yep.
Smacked the biggest star in the company.
Damn right.
And then bit somebody.
He's the MVP of the week.
That's, yo, anybody, bit an EVP. Anybody who does this in any other business is a hero.
Fuck it. That's how you got to go out.
Oh, my
If
God.
you go out. If he keeps his job, he's a legend.
He ain't keeping his job. You can't bite an EVP. Like, Time Warner.
Really, like, what are their EVPs?
Well,
Like,
we'll
now,
get to that.
like,
We'll get to all that.
let's bring Phil in. Phil, what's up? Phil's waiting to join the show. Phil's great to have you on, man. Long time coming. We're huge fans of your pod, the Grapsody pod, and everything going on over there. So it's great to have you on our show, especially this week, because when we asked you to come on, none of this had happened yet.
Man, thanks for having me on, man. And definitely a long time coming. Before we started our podcast, I was a fan of what you guys do. So it's an honor to be here.
Man, we appreciate it. I
What a
promise
crazy
you.
weekend.
I promise you, if we
What
ever
a
go on
crazy
your
weekend.
podcast, I will not bite anyone. Like, I will keep my teeth and my hands to myself. There will be no corner podcast, Grapsody beef. We cannot say the same about AEW.
I don't need no more podcast beef, bro. I don't need no more.
There's plenty of that going around. Listen, man, WrestleMania might look like this next year. We gotta chill out. You know, some people hating on us, like we're the EVPs. Mostly Phil though. Phil gets most of the hate online. I don't know why. You're such a good guy, Phil. So I mean, listen, Phil's are having
I feel
a
like
tough
it's crazy
week.
to call yourself a good guy.
Maybe.
So,
Like, from one Phil to another, Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk.
Oh, Lord.
He is the talk of pro wrestling. Phil, what were your thoughts on the debacle that was CM Punk? Let's just start with his post-fight scrum. We're going to work backwards on this show. Let's talk about what he said to the media after, spoiler alert, he won the title back at All Out.
Man, it's difficult because there are conflicting emotions here. A, I am a huge CM Punk fan. B, I am a proud Chicagoan. So part of me was very excited for the match. I was excited when he won. I was in the media scrum. So when I came in and sat down and he came in and immediately started going off, because I don't think some people understand that part. I've seen where people think that somebody asked him a question and then he started flipping out. He came in ready. He came in with the shits straight away.
Hot fire.
So, no, he came in guns a blazing right away. And on the surface, it's hard for me to not say that it wasn't entertaining because some of it was extremely funny to me. But at the same time, it was very, very awkward. I have never been in a presser that was that tense. And I was looking around at other people's faces, and it was weird. Uh, by the time his part of it was over, and just sitting there watching Tony, it looked awkward. Which, by the way, him sitting there saying all of that stuff, whether you agree with him or not, and Tony sitting next to him is a crazy visual. I That's gonna be one of those things that lasts forever. Um, I don't know how much to get into whether I feel like what he did was justified or not, because I do think it wasn't a time or place for it. Um, but I also understand what he was angry about. This very much felt like his practice interview. Um, it very much felt like he was coming in there to say, I won a championship. I'm having a great comeback. I'm having one of the best years of my career. And we're still talking about Coale Cabana. We're still talking about practice. I don't want to talk about Coale Cabana no more. He's not my friend. I don't know why we're talking about this anymore. And that part about it, I understood. But once you started going in on your coworkers and all the rest of that stuff, I was like, you could have left that part out.
To be fair, he started talking about Coale Cabana. Like, he brought it up first.
Well, to be fair, though, people have been asking him about Coale for a year. The night he debuted, somebody asked him that night. And it's been an ongoing question for a year. The rumors about whether he got Coale booted have been a thing for a while.
He was trying to get ahead of a question that may or may not have came.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? Let's pocket this, and then we can kind of stretch it out, because the Coale Cabana issue has been lingering for a long time.
Sure.
And let's just say you have your own personal beef with somebody. I don't believe, like, I feel like there are some similarities that I have with Punk. If I don't like somebody, I don't like somebody. And that's kind of the end of it, right? I don't care if you work there. Just stay the fuck away from me. And I think at a certain point, you get tired of being asked the same questions about your coworker. Now, look, I've talked to Coale Cabana numerous occasions. I've been on Cole's podcast. I'm not picking sides here. The only thing I know is that CM Punk doesn't like him. And whatever it is that have their history, and now people are starting to believe that Punk had something to do with him going to Ring of Honor. That's the frustrating part for Punk. The problem is when you go off without being asked, and it bleeds into other things. Let's just say he just talked about Coale Cabana. I don't think we'd be talking about this anymore.
Yeah.
It was once he started talking about the EVPs, being like children, Hangman Page, because obviously, for those who haven't paid attention, Page kind of alluded to it at the Double or Nothing, the Go Home show on Dynamite. People have been like using this for promo material and fueling it, so I get his frustration, but it has to stay with Coale Cabana, especially when these are your coworkers who hired you.
We're talking about Coale Cabana like he's a normal coworker, right? Like, oh, I dislike my coworker. No, that they're synonymous at a point. CM Punk and Coale Cabana. That's like Jesus and Miro not getting asked ever again about each other. Y'all were Jesus and Miro. It's like Bert and Ernie splitting up. And you can't, yo, Bert, what happened to Ernie? Y'all were just in the tub chilling, right? Like, no, like, it's like that. You are together. It's not a random coworker that you hate. Y'all were thick as thieves. Y'all were boys. And you could have answered these questions, if we're keeping it a buck, 8 years ago. But you left WWE, the lawsuit happened, and you disappeared. So these questions aren't outdated.
Well, wait, no. He can't ask those questions 8 years ago because this lawsuit this is recent. So, while he's been gone, and on top of that, he didn't expect to go to a workplace where Colt was going to also be at. So now
he knew that coming in. Colt was there.
But what I'm saying is, yes, of course, you know that somebody that you dislike is now working at the company that you're working at. You're also the bigger star, right? So anything that happens to Colt, people are going to look at you. That's the frustrating part.
Because that was your boy.
But I'm saying, you understand his frustration. I can understand that kind of frustration.
This shit is like every 90s hood movie, right? This is everything. This is juice. And like that, this is him having his ace. This is that. Like, that's who Colt Cabana is to you. So when you come back to the same place this man is at, they're going to ask you about him.
Right, but you're going to be frustrated. It's been a year.
A year is not enough.
A year should be.
A year is not enough. It really isn't.
Go ahead, Phil.
Well, the thing is, and by the way, Punk is absolutely the bird in that analogy. He's definitely the one that's tired of people eating cookies in the bed and tired of telling Colt, like, look, keep that over there. I think the bigger issue to me is because I follow Punk for a long time, whether it be through interviews, his character and stuff, I picked up a lot of his quirks. And one of the things I've noticed with him right away is he's the kind of guy when everything is going well, he's still mad about something that happened 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And if I had to guess, I would bet he's been mad about this Colt thing for a while. And I feel like the fact that it keeps coming up just made him progressively more and more mad about it. The fact that the promo happened and from a fan's perspective, it looks like Hangman didn't do anything wrong. And at the same time, Punk is Punk. He's Bobby Brown in this situation. When you're Bobby Brown, you got to be Bobby now. Everybody's going to look at it like it's your fault. It doesn't matter if that's true or not. And I think he looked at it like, no, I'm tired of being blamed for stuff that other grown men have done and that have nothing to do with me. Talk to them. Stop asking me what is his deal and why he's demoted. Stop asking me what is Hangman's issue with me. I don't know what his issue is with me because he didn't tell me.
I can agree with that to a level on the Punk side of things, right? Because now we're unpacking this. And Phil alluded to this a little while ago. Time and place. And taking personal responsibility for that. And we're not even getting to what happens after this. Because even then, that's somewhat warranted in my eyes. Time and place here is you are sitting next to your boss. Like the top of the company. Talking shit, popping big shit about the people right underneath him. Arguably the reason he is the boss. Calling them out to his face, he's looking all crazy. Like, yo, what am I supposed to say, right? You put him in a bad spot. To your boss. Airing out other bosses. Sooner or later, you just got to have common sense. And to me, CM Punk, even the WWE thing, and it makes him endearing, and that's cool, but it's kind of like he watched Stone Cold Steve Austin, like in the late 90s, 2000s, and he was like, you know what? That's just a shoot. And like he lives his life like that. He was like, you know, I'm just going to take this forever. And sooner or later, it's like, yeah, you can't rail against your bosses. Like this, there's a specific part in that rant to the media where he says, and I quote, I'm trying to run a business, and did the exact opposite of what someone who's a businessman would do. That, if there's anything to take personal responsibility for, that's it. Like that's not a business move.
All right, so you're right, but here's the complicated thing. Let's talk about EVPs, right?
Yeah.
The executive vice president at Taco Bell doesn't make the burritos. And the reason why I say that is because the executive vice presidents work in the company.
Yeah.
And they wrestle. Pro wrestling is the only industry where your boss takes a bump with you, right?
Theoretic.
Vince McMahon took bumps. Vince McMahon did all these things, but he was still the boss.
Still the boss. These guys don't feel like the boss.
But this is where the lines get blurred, right? So when Punk comes in and he's dealing with the elite, he looks at them as his peers and not his boss, because your boss doesn't work in the same realm as you. They're supposed to be above you. So that's where it gets really complicated. And Phil, I'm going to throw this to you because I want to get your thoughts. Tony Khan has a decision to make. Tony Khan there's two ways to handle business. Either you're the boss and you're like the dictator above all, or you're friends with the people that you work with. But now you have to deal with the consequences both ways.
Sounds like parenting.
It is. Are you friends with the kids? Or are you not? And you're a dick. right?
Yeah.
Because that's what the kids think. Oh, the boss is a dick.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Tony Khan has to make a distinct decision here because he just watched one of his children lose his fucking mind, and then they had a fight, and you got to break it up. And now you're the one who has to levy whatever consequences there are, because ultimately, if the ship goes down, it's your ship. It ain't Punk's ship. It's not the Buck ship. It's not Hangman's ship. They're partially part of the ship. But the funding of the ship, like when I had Tony on the show and I was like, hey, one of the co-owners, he's like, I'm the owner. I am the owner. He made sure to put his nuts on the table when he told me that. I said, damn, Tony, all right, cool. But if you're the boss, you have to dole out punishment as the boss. There can't be any favoritism. There can't be anything else that you're going to do. So, Phil, I know we've heard like different rumors, and we'll start. Meltzer's reported there's possibly an injury. There's Sean Ross Sapp's reported that people in the company want him to see Punk out of the company. In your opinion, what do you think Tony Khan should do? Obviously, this is all going to be a moot point because some of this may come out by the time this podcast comes out. But we all know Tony's in a tough spot. But what do you think he should do in this situation?
Well, I should also express that, again, I know that a lot of this is going to get thrown in Punk's lap. But a good deal of this is Tony's fault. And that goes back to the cult stuff. I think that he should have came out sooner and said that Punk had nothing to do with that, because you let that narrative live for way too long and it seeped into your locker room. And once people in the locker room started to believe it, then it seeped into your television show. And once it seeped into your television show, you still didn't correct it. You didn't correct it until last week. And then you can go into you can go into letting people go into business for themselves. That happened on 3 situations, and all 3 situations led to a physical altercation almost. And you didn't address that until you had to have this locker room meeting last week. He let things get too far out of control before he stepped in, and then I still feel like he didn't handle it with a heavy enough hand. And to your point about the EVPs, the problem, as I see it, is I'm sure people are going to say, well, Punk said pull up in the press conference, right? So they pulled up. But the problem with that is they are his bosses. You can't do that. I don't care what I say as an employee. It's not right for him to do that. But you're in a position of power. You cannot do that. You can't just pull up to his locker room, the 3 of you, and trying to run up on dude. You can't do that. And so I think he's going to take the brunt of the punishment here, because the story is that he threw the first punch. But it sets a very bad precedent when you can say that they essentially came to his locker room and provoked it. Now, I know what people are going to say. Well, he provoked them first because he started in a presser. The other very unfortunate thing here is I feel like there's a stark difference between Punk for 7 or 8 months from August to the beginning of this year before he got hurt, and Punk when he came back from the injury. There was clearly a big difference when he came back. He seemed almost paranoid when he came back. He seemed very frustrated with situations, and that didn't seem like the case before he left. There were rumblings about him having issues with people, but it wasn't like this. And again, that leads me to believe that something should have happened when he came back, and someone should have sat down with him like, yo, are you okay? What's going on? How can we remedy this situation? Now, that's not to take responsibility off him, of course. He still handled things poorly. Everybody handled things poorly.
Yeah.
But I think Tony's in a tough spot now because you have to punish Punk because he threw the first punch. But at the same time, you have to punish the Elite as well because they were involved in the fight. You've got 3 people that are in a position of power that were involved in a physical altercation.
I ask you this then, because I think everyone's to blame. So I'm not letting anybody off the hook here, right? So I'm asking at all angles. But this started a long time ago. I'll ask you, Tony punishing people, quote unquote, isn't that against the fabric of what AEW is?
What?
These
What do you mean?
hear me out. They have EVPs, right? These people, along with Cody Rhodes, ran a show. ROH helped them, ended up crushing ROH, whatever. Tony is the guy who had money. He brought in his money, so he was the de facto owner. But to them, this is why they didn't go to a WWE. This is why they wanted to start a company. It is their company. It is all elite wrestling. They are the elite. This is what they didn't want, the authoritative figure of a Vince McMahon-esque person. This is why I'm assuming, I'm asking. Kenny Omega ran the women's division until it was taken away. These people people go out there and say whatever the hell they want in promos, go into business for themselves because they have that freedom. There's no authoritative figure above them, and that was the lore of AEW.
I'll stop you right there. Tony Khan signs everybody. He releases everybody. That's talent is his thing. Yes, Kenny Omega may book a women's division. Yeah. But if I own a franchise and appoint you as the manager, I'm still the owner of the.
But these
franchise.
EVPs got you.
No.
You didn't get them.
No. My money got this. So that means I am the owner. Y'all wouldn't have shit if it wasn't for my money. And my dad's long money too.
And they bounce. If he loses the EVPs, say he picks Punk.
Okay.
And they bounce.
Yeah.
The ship is sinking.
No, it's not.
You cannot lose the Bucks and Omega and Cody Rhodes and everyone who started it.
Hypothetically, you cannot, right? Hypothetically, we can assume that the ship would sink.
Yes.
But all the talent ain't leaving with them. The company still exists without him. Cody left. So
I feel like Cody was the most expendable.
But I'm saying in terms of
all elite wrestling, losing the elite seems like hit the panic button, break the glass.
That first of all, that's not going to happen.
I just wonder, can he punish them? You can punish Punk,
of course
whatever.
you can. Of course you can punish them. I pay your bills.
Oh, shit's gonna get real weird.
But I sign your checks. Your checks.
You wouldn't sign something if I didn't bring this to you.
It don't matter, dog. If you come to me with an idea and I buy that idea, it is my idea.
It's his company.
This.
He's the owner of the company.
Yes. So any punishments that I'm gonna levy, they're up to me. I don't care what you do.
Ooh, you're gonna get you made Hove? Okay, make another Hove situation.
It's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be that.
That's not the same. Go
ahead, Phil.
I used to watch the Joe Budden podcast a lot. It was great in its heyday. And one of the best rants Joe went on is who's backing you, right? It's always important to know who's backing who. And we know who's backing the elite here. It's Tony Khan. It's his money that's fitting the bill. He's the owner of this thing. And because of that, he has to go in rooms and speak on the behalf of the elite that they don't have to necessarily be in. He has to be in rooms with people at Time Warner. And so if they say, I don't like how this is going, he has to respond accordingly, and he has to punish somebody. That's how it goes. It doesn't sound good. Yeah, it's like when anything is bought by anybody. Once something becomes corporate, yeah, it sucks. But
they set themselves up for the okie doke.
That's not setting yourself up for the okie doke.
That's not, though. In order to be
they
on
thought
TV
they were having a wrestling company.
How do you think
we are starting our own company? And
why
then now it is someone else's company.
Hold on. Why do you think they thought that? You're just assuming that.
Well, they ran the first show, literally just them, right?
No. Like, but I'm saying
they put their name in the
AEW Wrestling is owned by Tony Khan. Who bought Ring of Honor? Not the elite.
No, that's his.
Okay. Who bought AEW? Tony Khan. It's his company, which he's front facing. When Tony Khan comes in to do stuff, it's on him. What we're talking about right now is not like, are the Young Bucks gonna punish CM Punk? No. Is Cody Rhodes? No. It's Tony Khan. It's his company. We're talking about hierarchy here.
Yes.
And it's very obvious who the owner of the company is, which is why I'm saying.
I'm asking at the beginning of all of this, was it as obvious as it has now turned into?
Yes.
You called him a co-owner when he came on this show.
And he corrected me.
Because in the beginning, it appeared that the EVPs and Tony were on equal standing.
I think we're arguing nuts and bolts here, and I think it's very easy to say.
I'm just saying this is the latest case of him saying, I'm the owner. This is mine.
Yeah.
And it keeps going, and I think it's going to build a pressure amongst those.
I don't see it that way.
Cody left.
I would argue that it's not him coming out and saying he's the owner. I feel like the situation is forcing him to act like an owner. That's what's happening.
Okay.
There's too much going on that they can just go out there and wrestle and they don't have to be accountable for. But like I said, he has to get in the room with Time Warner and other people, and he has to be accountable for what's happening there. He has to deal with that. And yeah, they can say that we didn't expect him to have so much control of this or so much control of that. Okay, fine. Well, you do it then. And the answer to that is they're not going to, because they can throw their hands up and wash their hands of it.
Yeah, they're all expendable. So here's a question, and I already know the answer to this for me. I just want to know, Phil and Kel, who's the biggest loser this weekend in AEW? Who was the biggest loser? Phil, you go first.
Oh, that's tough to say in this situation or as a whole with the company.
As a whole with the company.
As a whole with the company, I feel like the biggest loser here is potentially Tony Khan, because you are looking at potentially, not even potentially, you're going to lose the biggest draw you have. If you don't fire the guy, you have to suspend him. So he's going to be off TV for a while. And even if you take the suspension out of there, he's clearly the report is that he's injured. So he's going to miss time because of that. We saw what their ratings were when Punk was away. We saw that what he's done for their merch sales. We saw that he's brought them 3 of their biggest gates ever. I don't think it's as simple as saying, okay, well, they'll be fine without Punk, because you saw how much they've benefited financially from him. And so I feel like he gambled, and man, the perception is going to be that he lost. He gambled on a guy that is extremely polarizing, and he got snake bitten.
Kel?
I know the right answer to this question. I don't want to give the right answer to this question, because I feel like there are a lot of losers in this situation, Tony Khan included. But I think, again, it's Tony's company. He's going to be fine. He sleeps on a bed of money if he likes. So that guy is going to be A-okay. I would like to state the obvious, that CM Punk is probably the biggest loser of the weekend. I'm not sure how contracts work in regards to slapping your bosses, or what can be voided and non-voided. But I'm sure they were paying him handsomely. This is... You can say whatever you want about CM Punk. He was gone for a very long time. His return was a big deal.
The deal.
He put a lot of himself on the line to return. He was a cult hero forever. This was supposed to cement that. This is an ugly way to go out if this is how you go out. Now, people may look at you as a villain. Like, there's a lot of shit going. This is not how you want your legacy to end. CM Punk is the obvious choice. The right choice, which I feel no sympathy for, is Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
There we go.
That is the correct answer. Because the ladder match was just catching fire, and they stopped the whole shit to have a new debut with a new big bad, Stokely there. You see the collective. Then you get to the end. You don't think the guy's come back out. You just think there's a masked guy. You reveal, you have it be MJF. He walks out after Punk. And they have like a weird habit of like ending the show in like a weird way, right? Like, so CM Punk celebrating, and then MJF's music hits, and you just look on his face, and he's just like, this is the shittiest thing I ever got to do. So CM Punk's in the ring just like dreading life. Probably pissed him off going to the press conference. And MJF there, and CM Punk is like, yo, I've been away this whole time. You let Moxie beat me in a squash match. I come back in my home city. I am the hero. I'm supposed to lights out, belts in the air. And this motherfucker closes the show. This guy who walked out, this guy closes the show. So MJF is standing there, should have made him look like $1 million. And Punk was like, I'm going to get my night. I'm going to get my headlines. He ended up being the talk of the town. by hook or by crook, and Punk took it from him. And you go from, hey, this stable's pretty all right, let's see, to this shit could be retribution in a quick second because Punk killed the momentum.
Yeah, the answer is MJF for this weekend because the MJF story was one of the biggest stories of him leaving the company. And he makes his big comeback in Chicago, gets a pop in Chicago, and nobody's talking about it. It has become completely nothing. We had Samoa Joe come back. We had MJF come back. We had Luchasaurus turn heel again, whatever the fuck. But the MJF story is now such a complicated position because do you just hand him the title? What do you do with him in this situation? Because
oh my God, he still has the stupid chip.
Exactly. So
can't even cash that in on nobody.
We'll get into, like, as we do the second half of the show, we'll discuss more about like the booking and everything else. Phil, I want to ask you as we get ready to get out here, the atmosphere of All Out, right? A lot of people said it was the second best show of the weekend. Clash of the Castle was first. We'll discuss our picks a little bit later. Does AEW have a problem with the length of their shows that they need to fix sooner than later?
I don't think the length of the show is the issue. I think that in some cases the placement of the matches and the time you're allotting to certain matches. Like you have weird things like you essentially turned the Jungle Boy Christian thing into a squash. But I'm also hearing that Christian's hurt, and that's why they did that. Yeah, I just think that the amount of time allotted and the length of the pay-per-views isn't as big of a deal if they aren't in such a weird situation as a company right now. If that makes sense. Because I feel like we're at the point where the honeymoon phase with them is over, and the way that people look at them and the perception around the company has definitely changed over the last 3 weeks.
100%. Yeah.
One other thing. Phil, I know you have the WWE marks that are in your mentions all the time. So I'm going to ask this question because they're like, it's over. AEW's finished. It's done. And I have to remind people, especially on this podcast, I don't know if you guys remember, but your tag team champions walked out on live television. I don't know if I have to remind y'all, but the CEO of your company got caught using company money to pay for his sexual exploits with women that were in the company.
Yeah, it's all bad.
It's not over for AEW. It's not over, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, but it's not over.
It took WCW a long time to crumble.
Well, they were, but the inmates. But this is what I was going to get to. It. The inmates were running the asylum.
Yes.
That's what killed WCW. Phil, do you see a potential issue that if Tony doesn't fix this, that the inmates running the asylum could eventually spell out the demise of AEW?
I think that things are already out of control, and that's why I say that I feel like he waited too long to get a handle on certain things. There's no reason why the Hangman stuff in particular should have gotten that far. The stuff with the Bucks and Kenny and Punk shouldn't have gotten this far. Everything got out of control. I mean, really, you could look at the stuff with Rosa, the fact that the stuff with Rosa got out of control. I think it all depends on how you divvy out punishment from here on is going to affect everything, because if they fire Punk, I do think that's going to be a huge blow to the company. I think that he brought with him so much goodwill from certain parts of their core fan base that has been hoping for them to sign him since the company started. And I think for some of his more devout fans that see him as this guy that does no wrong ever, I think this is going to alienate them. I think that people are going to look at the Elite different because the Elite were looked at as outsiders for a long time. They were looked at as fringe guys that were not the man. And that goes to what Kel said. Now you're on the other side of the wall. You're in positions of power in the second biggest wrestling company in the world. No, you're not just one of the boys anymore. And I think this makes that clear. This whole situation makes that very clear if people haven't realized that. So I don't think that it's the immediate demise, but I do think it is going to start a domino effect. Now, can they recover from that? I don't know. Anything is possible. We've seen others recover from crazier things, but only having CM Punk for a year after taking such a big gamble, that could potentially be a backbreaker.
Got to make Bryan Danielson your champ ASAP.
Yeah,
Put the belt on a likable guy.
I don't think Danielson wants to be the champ.
I don't think so.
That later.
Got to force him to do that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think he's got a different agenda that people are completely missing with Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. I mean,
well, the people on the other side were like, they're misusing Bryan Danielson.
No.
They're missing.
He's doing exactly what he wants. It's just,
Yeah.
you get, again, sometimes you got to break the glass and hit the button. And you got to go to Danielson and be like, yo, let's write this. Let's write this ship. I understand it's not what you want to do, but you're historically the most beloved guy we have left. You are our Hall of Famer, no disrespect to Chris Jericho. But we need yes movement, Daniel Bryan.
Hey, okay, wait.
Bryan Danielson back.
Phil, we got to get you out of here, but this is a very simple question. Should Moxley just have won that match?
Yes, because losers don't go to the post press conference, right? Like, that's the easiest answer because CM Punk would have been mad, but he wouldn't have had a platform to speak.
Well, here it is, Phil, and I'm going to ask you this because, yes, obviously, Punk in Chicago is a big deal, but if Moxley wins, it legitimizes him again because he was the interim champion. And if you're Tony, you had to know something was up with Punk because you just mentioned this. Like, things weren't necessarily right. Maybe it wasn't the right move to put the title on Punk to begin with, coming off an injury.
We just saw Punk versus MJF.
Being disgruntled, like all those things. If Moxley's champ, he ain't got no problems.
Boy.
Phil? Can't hear Phil.
I can't hear Phil. They've cut Phil off.
Oh,
They're
you're
silencing me.
You're
All
good.
right, you're back. You're going.
They're trying to silence
They
your boy.
see him punch you. They went full pipe bomb.
Trying to cut
the
my
mic.
mic off. Man, it's tough to answer that in retrospect because, again, this guy got you the 3 biggest gates of the history of this company. You don't get Forbidden Door in the United Center without Punk as champion. You don't get certain things that they were looking to do business-wise with just Mox as champion. I like Mox a lot. I wouldn't have minded if he won, but I understand the business decision to put the belt back on CM Punk. Nobody knew that it was going to blow up in their face instantly. That's why I'm like, it's tough to say it in retrospect. But it was just like instant consequences, not like a day later, instant.
Cold world. That's how pro wrestling works. Phil, we appreciate you for taking time out and joining us. Please, real quick, plug everything. Let people know where they can find you, where they can find the podcast.
You can find me on Twitter at PhilDO616, and you can watch Grapsody on Fightful's YouTube channel every Saturday at noon. That's me, my co-host Will Washington, and Righteous Reg.
Yes, amazing show. Make sure you guys check it out.
Hey, when are y'all gonna have me on the show, man? Y'all playing games?
Well, we were supposed to when we were out in Vegas, and they just kind of fell apart on us.
That was busy, but I'm here. Yeah,
that was different. Yeah, you sound like Emilio. Emilio, every time I talk to him, he's like, yo, put you guys over all the time. You never have me on the show.
Got to get the old man and Sparks in the building. We
Yes, sir.
appreciate you.
We definitely do.
You guys don't go anywhere. We're coming back. We're going to dive into all the pro wrestling shows. Producer Coale Bay Bay is going to join us to do that, recap everything. Be right back after this break. All right, just that quick. We are back. Shout out to Phil, the whole Grapsody crew. Man, it's so good. Finally getting Phil on the show. We are just going to run through the lineup of the Grapsody boys because they're like all so dope, great to talk to. It's nice having guests on during pro wrestling weeks. But what would a pro wrestling show be without producer Coale Bay Bay coming in to talk about AEW eating a cupcake?
No.
Yes.
Where'd you get
Hi,
that cupcake, Cole?
Hey
Right.
guys, you guys are friends with Phil? You guys are friends with Phil? You guys are friends with Grapsody? You guys are friends with Will Washington, Righteous Reg? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah,
Listen.
yeah.
Look at
You guys don't need me anymore, huh? Okay. All right. Well, lawsuits are pending. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Don't get hit with
These
the DC.
cupcakes are from
CM Cole.
These cupcakes are from Vaughn's. It's a little grocery store right across the street. Thank you.
CM Cole has arrived.
Yes. So we dove into the CM Punk madness to start the show.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Swerve and Keith Lee, but we'll get to it.
Yes. Let's talk about the AEW card then and run it. Do we want to go from front to back?
Here's what we'll do. Here's where we'll start this. On a scale of 1 to 10, what did you rate this show? Cole, you first.
I would say, as I'm chewing a cupcake now,
Is it as good?
Rob, here we go.
Is it as good as that
You know,
cupcake?
my birthday's in a couple days, so it tastes great. Anyways, so I would say for an AEW show, maybe my expectations are pretty high. I'd say around maybe a 5 or a 6. I didn't feel like the show as a whole really carried the same kind of weight that we've had some shows in the past, especially narratively. I think, controversy aside with CM Punk here, I don't agree with the finish. It's to me, just like seeing a guy kind of magically heal from his foot injury that cost him a match and got him squashed in 2 minutes, to have him win. And in my eyes, I don't think CM Punk looked terrific in that match. I think he looked a little slow. He kind of looked a little slow in the Hangman Page match too, especially when he tried the buckshot lariat.
Yep.
So I didn't agree with the finish. I think I definitely have some matches that are definitely standouts, and I feel like we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yep.
As far as what were the best matches of the night, because there was some terrific stuff here. Definitely worth the price of admission because of just how many matches were on there. And then everything aside from that, sure made it a memorable night. That's for dang sure. Whether it was good or bad, it sure was memorable.
Yeah. If I was at Sporting News, this would be an A++.
Not under my watch.
To take a shout out to Sporting News. No, I mean, I watched it. It wasn't horrible. 1 out of 10, I'll probably say that it was a 7. Could have been an 8. This is the first time where I felt personally a crowd let down AEW. And maybe that's due to the length of the show. But their crowds, I think easily, it can't even be argued, have turned into the best crowds in pro wrestling. We've been to many of these shows live, never getting tired. The crowd hot. Just in Vegas, crowd's hot the entire time. Cole's texting us when we had to run and cover whatever fight that was. Cole is still in there having a blast. And that was a longish card, not this marathon, but it was still 8-9 matches. So I think there was a clear point where the crowd died, probably after the Swerve Keith Lee tag match. And they really didn't recover until the main event. And then the main event, again, it's just weird.
So 7?
7. It started off great, though.
Yeah. I give it a 6. And I'm going to start with this, and then we can start doing these matches. The show could have been a lot better. The reasons why are very simple. Tony Khan has an issue that he has to put everybody on the show, even if they have nothing necessarily to do, which results in the FTR Wardlow 6-man tag, totally unnecessary.
Yep.
You could have done that at a Rampage, and a Rampage would have been great. You could have done House of Black versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro as the main event of a Dynamite or a Rampage.
Yep.
Instead, it was stuck on this show. The 4-way for the women's interim title, that's where the crowd died. It wasn't because it was a bad match, because they were tired.
Yep.
So you had this show that had a lot of weird booking decisions. We're gonna have to talk about Jade Cargill also, and they are starting to have a problem.
She is
Jade
green
Cargill.
as that paint she wore.
She was green as a She-Hulk. But this show was the first time that I watched an AEW show and came away with, all right, it was cool. Usually we leave, it was like, man, that was really great.
Yep.
We came away with MJF. Like, the Casino Battle Royal was great, and then MJF happened. It was like, all right, this is all confusing. I have so many questions about this. Who's this Joker? Then the Joker's revealed, and it's like, didn't really hit the way that I wanted it to hit.
I just don't want to be Retribution, man. Retribution, more so than them, Retribution scarred me.
Yeah, it was bad.
I believe in AEW, but Retribution, like so close to this, it's a random collective of people.
But the show had its highs.
Yes.
Like, when they were going, they were going. I think that they have to make some very disciplined decisions on, you don't need to be on this show. We can put you somewhere else. And maybe talent won't be happy with that. But as we go through these shows this weekend, it's what the things that we hated WWE for, marathon WrestleManias, marathon SummerSlams, now we're getting closer to that with AEW, where it's like, it's too much.
Shout out to Phil, who laid it out perfectly before he got out of here. The honeymoon is over.
Yeah.
And this was a company where everyone was supposed to come to be happy because everyone was miserable at the time it appeared in WWE.
Yes.
So it was like, come here and be happy. What is it? Give us your sick, give us your poor. It's like, Ellis, like, come here, and this is the land of opportunity. And you just realize you don't have enough bandwidth for that. And now you got to scale back. You can't be that. No. WWE couldn't hoard talent either. It's just not possible.
Yep.
So it's tough. Tough. I feel like the best way to go through these matches, and hopefully we all have like different answers to this, but if you have the same answer, so what? We'll just give our best match, our favorite match from the card, and talk about that way. And then we'll give a match that kind of disappointed us.
All right, I'll start with a match that disappointed me. I'm gonna start with Jade Cargill and Athena.
Oh, God. All right, so pessimistic Dre.
I'm gonna start here.
All right.
Jade Cargill versus Athena. The baddies had one job, and it was to break up the pin.
It's a little late.
They completely blew it.
Yeah.
Which meant that Jade had to kick out of the finisher. What is the finisher called? What is Athena's finisher called? Because
it's not the Eclipse anymore.
No. Well, I can't.
The O face.
Okay. But it forced Jade to kick out of this. But the bigger issue was the timing was off through this entire match. Athena is one of the best talents that you have in terms of workers.
Yep.
And if she can't get a great match out of Jade, where do you go from here? This is why I told you on the preview show, Jade, that you can protect Jade from Jade by giving her the TBS title. She ain't ready for the Thunder Roses and the Britt Bakers, because if she has to carry that weight, the criticism will come super heavy. Right now, it's still passable. You can still get away with it, but you're running out of people for her to work with.
Yes.
The other issue with that is you don't have house shows, so she can't get her reps in. So without reps, you're kind of thrown on TV. And this match, because I was like, man, this sucks, because it made Athena look bad.
Yeah. On social, she's been getting the reps. DB's been working with her in the background.
But it's not the same as live action, right? It's not the same.
Adrenaline kicks in, you mess up moves.
You got to go out there with live rounds. Ruby Riott took a live round.
Oh, my God.
We'll get to that in a minute. But this match was my disappointing match because I think Jade is incredible, but she just ain't there. And now you have to move on from Athena, and where do you go from here with her?
Fam, her and Mandy Rose, I never think this. You look at them, that Mandy Rose, they got the titles around the same time. Yeah. Or pushed into this picture around the same time. Mandy Rose, she's been wrestling a lot longer.
Yes.
But she was very bad for all those years. Has gone and actually made the most of it and working with better wrestlers and everything to where her matches are pretty decent now. Like, her matches are cool. And she contributes to those matches.
Right.
We haven't seen Jade build up and do that yet.
She's really bad at working from under. She's great when she's strictly offensive.
She couldn't even sell that.
That's what I'm saying. She really struggles with that. So that's my disappointing match, because I think they're at a point where they have to figure out what to do with Jade, because you can't just put her in there. You can't put her in there with Britt Baker and Jade. Can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to protect her from her, because once she gets into that picture, it's a whole nother can of worms. And if she loses the title, all the cracks start to surface. So I don't know how you handle that, but that was my disappointing match.
Cole, what match was your disappointing match?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think they're in big trouble, big picture with Jade Cargill right now. And
that's an easy fix. That's where I disagree with Dre. That's an easy fix.
Well,
she just has to lose.
I do think they're
Can Statlander get healthy?
I don't agree.
She just got to lose.
Losing shows cracks in the fissure. Like, you have to keep her strong, because that's the only way she works.
Got to lose belt.
That's not the answer right now. It's not.
But I will say, I will say for the sake of answering, I think I'm going to go with the ladder match. I think I think we were all kind of wondering if MJF would be the Joker. I think I now wish, in hindsight, being 2020, that in my brain I was like, maybe MJ like shows up here and like really fully commit to that, and I did not have the cojones to do so. But I don't know if that reveal was just all so strange, and it was for a match that I thought was going to be just all kinds of flippy dippy shit. But I guess when they put out the match card, it didn't look like there was a real logical winner other than whoever the Joker could be.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just disappointed in the booking of that match to feel like I don't feel like I was shocked by that. And I don't know about you guys, but like the way that the Joker walked out and just like the dimensions of him and just his strut, it just like I feel like I knew it was MJF right there. I don't know if that's a discredit to the costume or not, but I had a pretty good feel. It looked like MJF. It just did.
It just having someone else grab the chip or briefcase or whatever, and they're not in the match, and then hand it to someone is like kissing your sister.
It's so
like it just never goes over.
I thought it was Scorpio Sky at first. I was like, oh, it's a black guy. It's got to be Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, I was like, oh, black guy's grabbing.
Now
this.
it's Stokely.
Stokely,
I was like, I have so many questions.
And they're like, he's not the Joker. I'm like, wait, if Stokely's the Joker, I'm okay with this. And then you have him give it to someone, right? Like, wait, he's not the Joker? So he grabs it, and then the Joker comes out. It was very convoluted.
Very, very, very strange. Kel, what was your disappointing match?
I was going to say Motor City Machine Guns just to pop you, but I won't do that. It's gonna be a weird one, but Lionheart Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson
Because of the flat finish?
was my disappointing match. This match felt too short, like it never got to hit that next stage. That next gear, I just looked at my sheet. It was 24 minutes.
Yeah, it was long.
And it felt like it was too short because they never got to the story they were trying to tell.
Right.
And then I compare it, and this is like the exact same match to me, where I have all these expectations and two guys. It's a dream match, kind of. You've seen them work before, and they're amazing, and it falls flat. Ends in the exact same way. Nut shot, finisher. Nakamura versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
Yeah, very disappointing.
Flat. I had all these expectations. Flat.
Yeah.
That's how I felt with this match. I'm not saying Jericho didn't need the win. I guess I know where the story is going. Just not like, it made no sense to me.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. And before we get to our favorite matches, I want to touch on Danielson. So I saw a lot of people was like, Danielson's being misused. And I was like, no, you guys don't. Clearly, the man had two absolute smackers with Hangman Page. He's worked fantastically with like Daniel Garcia. He's not being misused. He's doing what he wants to do, which is wrestle. And
wrestle young, fresh talent.
And he makes them look great. That's not the issue here. This was one of the few matches where we were like, it wasn't as great as we thought it could be. The story is getting in the way of a lot of, like, they're trying to put stories in here. I don't know what you do. Like, Danielson's fine. He's happy.
Yeah.
He's working what he wants to work. You can immediately elevate him if you really need to. You can break the glass, like you said. He's like, you want to put a title on him? Sure. Nobody's going to care, right? But this idea that he'd be happier if he was in WWE, no, he was miserable there.
Yes.
And I
Not
mean,
to say if he doesn't go back now, maybe it's different, but he just wants to be, even towards the end, he wanted to elevate like a Gable.
Yes.
He wanted to do all these things, right? Like, he wants to be a teacher
he doesn't
as
care
long
about
as a
winning.
wrestler.
Yeah, he doesn't care about winning.
No.
All he cares about is Daniel Garcia. How do I get him over?
Yes. The next generation
That's what he's
of
concerned
people. He still has that place here.
Yeah. All right, so let's do our favorite match tonight. I'll start because I figure there's going to be only two answers to this question.
Damn near.
I love the trios match. And even though I know you guys are going to say the Acclaimed and Swerve and Keith Lee, totally fair. Totally fair.
I ordered my Scissor Me Daddy Ass t-shirt.
Oh my God. But I thought this trio match was so good because the way the brackets were set up for weeks, I kept saying, how are they going to top what they were doing? the near fall that John Silver had on Kenny Omega from the One Ring Angel, I jumped out my seat because I was like, oh my God, they're going to have Silver go over. And at that point, the way the match was going, I was like, I'm perfectly fine with the Dark Order winning.
Mhm.
In this whole thing, I was like, there's no way the Dark Order can win this shit. But this match was fantastic. The Bucks, Omega looked like he put on like 15 pounds from Wednesday to this week.
Everywhere except the one arm.
Yeah, he's got a small arm.
Got a tiny chicken wing.
But this was, I absolutely love this match. Even though Omega and the Bucks won, I thought there's so much you can do here because now you can go to the House of Black, or even the House of Black lost, which is inexplicable to me. But I think this was my favorite match because they all worked really well together. And the Dark Order, I think Danny Acosta said it. He was like, every 6 months they remind you why they're still a group.
Yep.
And in this particular match, I was like, yep.
Hangman has added so much to that dynamic.
He's great.
Rest in peace, Brody. But like Hangman.
Hangman's been fantastic. But Kenny Omega was great. The Bucks were great. Some of the offensive transitions. That was my match of the night.
No, I can't knock that one.
Cole?
By the way, Malachi Black looked like he did a curtain call. They didn't show it on thing, but there's fan video afterwards. And there were reports of him just wanting to step away and ask for his release due to just to get his mentals right and everything. So we'll see how that plays out.
Actually, there's 3 matches that could be match of the night. I didn't talk about it because it was on 0 hour. You know what match I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. That was your match. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Cole, what's your match?
We had a lot of people slapping a lot of people this weekend.
It was
A lot of slapping.
A lot of slapping, a lot of chopping. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I gotta go with Swerve and Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. I think this is, and I think the angle I want to take on this is that is partially from the scrum, in which there were some people in that front row of the scrum going like, well, did you consider making an audible on this because of how hot the Acclaimed were? Did you consider making a change to this because of how hot the Acclaimed were? I don't think people understand that even them losing here, they benefited so much from this match. This match, to me, from a working perspective for the Acclaimed, obviously they've nailed the promo part. Yep. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. Everybody loves when they come out and Caster does the rap and Scissor Me Daddy Ass. They're so over with that. They got that part. But what is our criticism of the Acclaimed has always been, well, then they have their matches and it's okay, right? It's not a bad match. It's not anything to write home about. This Caster lifting Keith Lee, doing the attitude adjustment essentially, and I think John Cena ended up actually taking a picture from that and putting it on his Instagram. Doing the attitude adjustment to Keith Lee, that was amazing, and they didn't need to win that match to get over. And I think what the benefit of how Swerve in Our Glory works is because they're both so good and so talented, they can play any role in any given situation, and that's a really, really underrated skill as a champion. You come out, you read the crowd, and you can play off of that, because they didn't necessarily go into that match as heels, but they started playing it off like they were heels. Next thing you know, Billy Gunn's coming over and Swerve's giving him the DX chop. They were totally comfortable in that space of being booed, and they were like, cool, that's a hot crowd. That's not a they're supposed to be doing this or they're not supposed to be doing this. Let's just play into it. And they win, they retain the titles. I have no problem with that. And to me, it still made the Acclaim look like $1 million. And I think this sets up something down the road. I don't know if Grand Slam Acclaim Swerve in Our Glory 2 is the answer to that, but I think it gives the Acclaimed, it gives them their signature match. I don't think they really had one up to that point.
Yeah, and before I get to you, I want to say this real quick. I know the company has problems at the top with Punk and the Bucks and everything, but I hope they see what they have with Swerve right now, because Swerve was the heel in that match.
Swerve's always a better heel, by the way.
But he was the heel. Yep. And if you watch the post-fight media scrum, he was the heel in that. The losing, and we'll talk about Punk and everything as we close out the All Out segment of this, but you can lose them if you know what you have.
Yep.
You have someone with Powerhouse Hobbs. You have someone with Ricky Stark. Swerve can be one of your top heels in this company. And I think he proved it by figuring out I need to switch up what I'm doing here.
Yep.
Keith might be the same way. He could be your monster heel. But
Could be, but he was still very nice about it.
But I think Swerve there's just something about him that gets it, and then he's just a different kind of worker. And yes, this was a fantastic match, but I think if you're Tony, you got to look at him like, shit, I might have to do something else with Swerve at some point.
I think that's some point is now. Swerve's my dude. Been on the show. I think I play him in Madden in like 2 days. So Swerve's incredible. He's great. I always thought he was a better heel. The Acclaimed have arrived.
Yeah.
Run it right back. Give them the belts. The worst thing you can do in pro wrestling, in my opinion, is miss the moment.
Yeah.
Is not strike when the iron is hot. Swerve is going to be fine. Keith is going to be fine. They have long careers. They've won titles. You heat them up tomorrow. They understand how to go. This gimmick, this moment, daddy ass, it's only going to live in a vacuum. Strike while the iron's hot. You run it back, you give them the belts.
I don't know if you do that. But carry on. What was your favorite match of the night?
My favorite match, not Ishii. Yeah, that was great. It was big man chopping each other. My favorite match is kind of off the beaten path because it was so short, but it was done perfectly. Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks. It's the perfect case of just doing what's right. No bells, no whistles, none stupid. Granted, there's better in-ring, longer matches. But this could have went very bad if someone was booking this differently.
Yeah.
If a different producer wanted this to be a 20-minute banger. Like, that was not needed here. This was Powerhouse Hobbs is dominant, and he's going to stay dominant. And Ricky Starks has to be sympathetic and build from his missteps. Truly take him down to rock bottom. Make the crowd feel his pain and rocket him up. It's perfectly done in 5 minutes, not 25.
I saw people being critical of this, but I called this, remember?
Yeah,
I was like,
it's pro wrestling.
mention the neck, Powerhouse squash him.
Yep.
Ricky Starks will be fine. Powerhouse Hobbs needs that push.
Yep.
Starks has got it. He's good.
He's good.
He's good. So
He cut one promo about this, and
yeah, he was
everyone's
good. Money.
behind him.
So before we move on, because we got other wrestling to talk about.
That we do.
Let's talk about this main event real quick, because we all predicted different things. I wanted Punk to go heel. He didn't. I think they fucked up. I think there was a lot of things that they blew with this, because there are a number of ways you could have gone. Now, let's hypothetically say that the beginning of this show remains the same. MJF gets the chip. He's the Joker. Now, if you wanted to keep Punk babyface, why wouldn't MJF just cost him the match? Because we've already seen Punk and MJF, right?
Yep.
Mox, as I watched the match, I was like, Moxley should win this match. As the match was happening, I was like, we're in a bad spot right now because, yeah, Punk is over. But if you're not turning him heel and you're just getting the title off of Moxley, what did you just do to Moxley? Now, MJF comes back. We already saw this with him and Punk not too long ago.
Yep.
So, in order to move around the idea that you now have to give the title to MJF is what everybody's thinking, personally, which I think is a bad idea. Because the biggest problem you have with MJF right now is he's being treated like a babyface. He flipped off the crowd. They was like, we don't care. You want to, but the only way you can turn him heel, have him attack Punk. Have him cost Punk that match. Fuck it, run another injury angle on Punk. Seems like you don't want to be there anyway for right now.
Lo and behold, if rumors are correct.
Right, you would have got there anyway.
You would have got there anyway.
But I think you're hurting everybody involved. Like, that main event didn't help anybody. MJF doesn't come out better because now he's been completely overshadowed. Mox is he was just keeping the belt warm. And Punk's got it, but he might have to give it up again because of injury. But the other issue is, as I'm watching this match, and then I'll let you guys jump in on this, I'm going, maybe Punk's not totally healed. He's moving slow. It's going to look funny if you put him in there with somebody like Kenny Omega right now.
Yes.
And Punk doesn't need the title. I get it. Like, he sells out, but you can do that anyway without the title. He doesn't need it right now. That whole thing when it ended, I was like, I wasn't a big fan of all that.
I can understand from that perspective, but also, how old is Punk? 43?
He's 43.
Now then when?
No. I get it, but the injury is the killer for me. As soon as he got hurt, you were like, ooh. And I made this joke in our group chat. Like, he's about as fragile as an egg in an earthquake right now. Like, you're going to break it, right? And it's become risky because you already come off the broken foot, and you had to get the title off it, which makes the squash match even more questionable.
Yep.
Because nobody gained anything from this now. Like, nobody comes out this thing looking better. So I agree with you. I'm
50-50 booking.
Yeah, I agree with you. If not now, when? But as soon as he got hurt, maybe Moxley should have squashed him, and maybe Moxley should have just beat him again. Because it's just, I don't know. Like, injuries suck, and they make you book bad in AEW. In WWE, somehow this shit works.
How about you don't need that first match? How about you just had Mox squash him at the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I know the concern there. It's in Chicago. The crowd would have nuked it.
Fucking Moxley, who cares?
They would have nuked it. But no, I get the concern. I'm not saying I disagree.
Yeah.
I get the concern.
So it's just one of those things where now you're stuck off of what, and Cole explained it, was a pretty mediocre main event.
Wasn't great.
It doesn't help that there's videos of Kenny Omega. It's like, come here, brings the camera close. It's like, boys in the back. Top that.
Yeah.
Like, he's talking shit to the people in the back.
And
like, that's when you know you're really good. Because you still got a lot of people coming up behind you that can wrestle. But he's just like, no, like, there's a lawlessness at that company where I'm not saying stuff should be scripted tightly. I'm not saying, like, you need a madman controlling every aspect of it. But it's like no one's controlling any aspect of it. And everyone has a hot mic and everyone has a hot cam. And you just go off the rails and just go to Gorilla and be like, sorry, Tony. And just keep it moving.
Well, so I think we can move on after this. I think I mentioned earlier, I think Tony Khan's got to make some decisions about what kind of boss he's going to be. Because being friends with everybody is not working.
Yeah.
Because now you have
no more hugs.
Yeah. You can't hug everybody. Like, you just made to look like an ass by everybody in your company. Right? It's not just Punk. The Bucks and what Kenny Omega did, that's not excusable either.
Ace is biting people.
Well, like I said, man, the man came, cursed, slapped somebody, bit. He's got to go. But you have to make a decision. Like, you can't get past this. People are saying, oh, it's over. But again, I just saw Vince McMahon retired this year. Yeah. There is no story bigger than that.
No.
There's no story, and the company is fine. Sasha and Naomi walked off of live television, criticized for it, rightfully so. Not
so
them.
Did Brock.
Not them, but I'm talking, yeah. Oh,
arguably their biggest star.
Right, but it's like these things happen. You can recover from them, but you have to alter your management strategy and your approach to your talent because you cannot let the inmates run the asylum.
At the end of the day, and we'll talk about WWE, and this goes right into it. The difference is nothing's crumbling in a day, right? It's not going to happen. Money and stats rule all. Vince was gone. If Tripp takes over, and those are 3 horrible shows in a row, and you get down to 1 million ratings on Raw, shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Stuff has gone up. Steadied the ship. Same thing with AEW. You're fine. If for any reason, you guys will know more when you're listening to this show than we know now. Punk is gone. The ratings dip maybe for a week. You figure it out. You do something dope with a vacant title now. You do something really cool, and the ratings go right back up. No harm, no foul. Steady the ship. If shit plummets, we're in rough territory because money and stats rule all.
Yeah.
And that's when Turner or whatever, that's when they're going to be, whatever media group is there, they're going to be like, yeah, Tony, we need to talk.
Yeah. They got some shit they got to fix. I think they'll be okay long run, but they have to figure it out.
Better do well. Let's go into WWE for our last hour. So we'll do a half hour.
Yeah.
WWE and NXT. Start with Clash at the Castle. Happened Saturday in the UK. Not going to the pre-show, but here we can kind of go match by match because it's not going to take long. Damage Control versus Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka.
Well booked.
Starting off the show. I think it was great. I am surprised, and I want to hear what Cole thinks off rip, but Bianca took her first pin all year in this match. That's it's saying something because now it adds a lot of intrigue to that Bayley feud, right?
I mean, it's saying you need 3 people to do their finishers to beat me.
That's right.
And that's a lot.
That's
what it's saying.
But I mean, Bayley now has that air of like, yo, I pinned you once. So it was an interesting dynamic because I always thought like, oh, they'll pin Asuka.
I thought they were pinning Alexa.
Yeah, so it's like whatever. That's what they're in the match for. Nope. So interesting booking decision, but immediately, 19 minutes off the bat.
I was surprised this kicked off the show, but I was fine with the match. Again, Bianca losing the way that she lost, I was like,
19 minutes? Like, oh, we're at TakeOver.
Yeah, they got a chance to go. Cole, what'd you think of the match?
Booked perfectly. Made Damage Control look like $1 million. Damage Control is $1 million. Bayley is $1 million. I mean, it's the crowd. The best part of that match had to be the crowd chanting at Bayley for Bayley. As Bayley looks at the crowd and goes, "No, we don't do this anymore. I don't like this at all." Brilliant. It's brilliant. It's just like, and like other people would have gotten that and not known how to react. Bayley knew exactly what to do. I thought this match was great. I did think initially, like when it happened, I was like, "Oh, yeah, you pinned Bianca," and then slowly but surely, it was like, "Wait a second, this makes a whole lot of sense." And like they did it in a believable way where it was all right. The team was able to finish her off, but when they go one-on-one, can she do the same? We shall see.
And they doubled down on it on Raw.
Yep.
So they explained it. And Bayley is like, no, we're not going to have this match right now. Like, I already beat you. I call the shots. Smart way to play it off. Listen, this is the ledge. This is where I'm going. It's bold. Match of the weekend.
This is not bold. This is the match of the weekend.
Gunther
100%.
versus Sheamus.
I told you, I was like, and first and foremost, for those of y'all listening to the podcast last week, I said we haven't seen the true Walter match.
No.
Here's the funny part. We still haven't seen it.
There's still so much.
There's still another level of violence that people have not seen. But this match was phenomenal. I encourage everybody, go out of your way to watch this match. And for whatever, even if you're AEW mark, you hate WWE, shame on you. Because these two beat the shit out of each other.
And Imperium returned.
Yeah. Just give Walter his music back. That's all. Because
and I called that on the last show. You needed 3 guys. You need to bring somebody back.
But all they needed was that entrance. Could you imagine that white hot crowd with the original Imperium entrance singing along?
Oh.
But this was phenomenal. You didn't go off a ledge. This was and I love the trios match. I thought the trios match was excellent.
Yes.
But this
is a different level.
This is violence.
Again, when it's one-on-one, it just holds a little bit more weight to me.
And
you can't lean on anyone else.
And you know the other thing that you did? You have started to cement Gunther as probably the only guy that could beat Roman Reigns.
Close. If they weren't heel, which I'm not sure Roman.
We're getting away from Roman being a heel. I told you, the maximum male models added another. The maximum male Samoan models added another member. These guys are very hard to boo.
Yeah.
Even in the UK, they're like, fuck, we got to boo him? All right, cool. But this match, this was my match of the weekend. Cole?
Talk about press conferences real quick, Cole. Before Punk stole the press conference shine, Roman. Well, I love that they did a press conference, but
it's
Roman coming, sitting down, just looking at the media, acknowledge me.
Yep.
One reporter was like, "I do acknowledge you,
Alex,"
and he was like, "Damn right," and then just leaves. He just takes both belts and bounces. It's like, oh, this guy's $1 million.
Cole, do you agree with this was the match of the weekend?
Tony's like, boy, I wish I had that press conference. That's all I needed.
17 seconds of Punk.
100% from start to finish. This was this. We'll be talking about this at the end of the year. I 100% believe that. This was just two dudes just beating the shit out of each other, which is funny. We were talking Kingston and Ishii just a little bit before that. And it's too bad that followed that because there was no topping Sheamus and Gunther. So, and from start to finish, with them kind of recreating their moment earlier in the week of them just staring at each other, staring each other down while all the chaos is going on around them with Imperium and Butch and Ridge,
The Brutes.
That was amazing. They were there to beat the shit out of each other. And I got to say, as much as this match, obviously this is like, I think this is probably, if you are really hardcore into WWE, you're going to know who Walter Gunther is, right? But this is his first, really his first match showing you on regular WWE television, like, this is what this dude is all about. And this is what everyone else has been talking about. Yeah. And man, oh man, did he put on a hell of a show. But flowers need to go to Sheamus because Sheamus was there to put on a show right back at him. I mean, he was just as violent, just as brutal. And not only that, boy, did he have the perfect skin complexion for this match.
Incredible. That man's going to be red for a month.
That dude looked like he hung out in the sun for 8 hours without sunscreen. I mean, he took so much punishment there. And for him to do that in Cardiff, he was so over with the crowd. And to get that reception from the crowd at the end, for a guy who's been doing this for a long time, and for him to have a match like this far into his career when he doesn't necessarily have to have a match like this, I feel like his legacy in the company is pretty cemented as far as international products coming over to the WWE. For him to have this moment was really, really, really special. So this is a match that this match would have been great anywhere else, but time and place plays a part in this. And I think it being in Cardiff, it being Gunther and Sheamus together, Sheamus getting the reception, getting his flowers at the end of the match was time and place. Perfect.
Three years straight for Walter, by the way. Match of the year contention.
Yeah.
Him Dragunov was my match of the year. 1. Him Dragunov 2, where he lost, match of the year contention. Now this year. 3 straight years. And impeccable. And then we have Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler.
All right, let's make this quick, man. They got to figure this shit out because, they tried to say, she's been working with Riddle with the grappling, but her offense ain't it. They have a Liv Morgan problem, and it's not Liv Morgan's fault. She's tiny, but even Rey Mysterio knows how to have impactful offense.
Yeah,
Liv doesn't, and it's not her fault. They've booked her poorly, and she goes over clean, and she still looks like a goober. So it's like, I don't know what they do with her. I hated this match for her.
Yeah, this was tough, and the overselling of the injury and just her wailing every time it got hit, and then she would use it the very next time. It was tough to really settle in and be believable that she was gonna kick Shayna Baszler's ass, because Shayna Baszler is that she's bad. You do not want to fuck with Shayna Baszler. So I agree with Dre. It's not her fault.
No.
This is, again, I don't think Shayna Baszler was not the correct heel to put her in a match with after Ronda. That was not it. No. They needed somebody else. They needed a heel. Alexa Bliss would have been absolutely freaking perfect for her. Someone who's a foil, someone who could get under her skin verbally and then beat her with believable offense. She needed something to warm up to this. I think this was too soon.
It's weird because I know it's great to give her someone her size where it's believable, but I would have leaned the other way. This is where you miss someone like Nia Jax to give her the big show spot. You win the belt, you get the big show spot. Yeah. Small person going over on the really big person.
Or at least win with cunning.
You know?
Be able to use her size against her.
That role that role is missed, and be behooved to not mention a big guy who returned on Monday Night Raw.
Choo choo.
Yes, Braun Strowman came. He saw. He tripped.
He botched.
But doing monster numbers, pun intended, on social media for his return. You're like, oh my God, Braun's back. It doesn't fit in Triple H's mold. There's always a spot for a very athletic big guy. He doesn't have to be at the top like Vince tried to shove him into. But this guy has a great role if he can keep it, because there are champions where he can make them look like $1 million and then terrorize the mid-card in between to keep him like hot enough for the champion to beat him. So that's what the women's division is kind of missing. Nia Jax served that role very well when she was there. Next up,
And I tell you what, if you thought parking lots were not safe in WWE or any wrestling television, now the cars aren't even safe in the parking lot because Braun Strowman's back. He's gonna start flipping
safe.
cars again. Nothing is safe in the parking lot. It's madness.
it's like this Blue Wire parking lot, right, Cole?
I don't want to talk about it.
Then we have Edge and Rey Mysterio with Dominic in their corner versus the Judgment Day.
We don't have to talk about the match. It happened.
Finally,
But I think they blew it
on Monday Night Raw.
Oh,
by putting him with Judgment Day.
He looks great.
He looks
on
great.
Judgment Day.
Don't get me wrong, and I get it, like the whole Rhea Ripley thing. You kicked my ass, and now,
She's his poppy.
yeah. But all I care, the mullet was heel. He had to go heel. He's
Yes.
heel. He's supposed to work Edge, but this was the right decision. The match was fine. I don't care, but the lariat that he hit his father with,
Identical to Eddie's.
yeah, very well done. Thank God somebody's got some sense. to turn
Finn
him
Balor maniacally laughing at him
Yeah.
became the gif of the weekend.
Yep.
Used for many AEW moments later on in the weekend. Cole, anything to add? Do you like, not like?
Also, shout out to him kicking Edge so hard in the balls that his shoe fell off. That an unintentional, amazing touch. That and the lariat look good. Like Dom came out of it looking like $1 million.
Yeah.
I hated that they cut to a shot of the Judgment Day like cackling and laughing. I'm like, guys, you lose all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get people into your group and convince people you're all bad and stuff when you lose
Constant.
all the time.
Yeah.
We gotta fix this. Like it's like we've got to make them dominant. If you're gonna have me believe that like they're running the show, they don't do shit
No.
other than
the
Rhea
old
on
guys
the mic. Because Rhea
should
on the mic's
lose.
great.
This is
Yes.
Rhea's faction, by the way.
It is.
Yeah, not Finn's faction.
No.
It is Rhea's faction. And then we have Seth freaking Rollins versus Matt Riddle. This was almost match of the weekend.
I love this match.
This match was incredible.
I mean,
This might be.
let's just lay it out there really quick because we got other stuff to get to, and then you guys can comment on it too. Seth pissing off Riddle so much that he forced him to make mistakes was the most brilliant storytelling that you like. Seth Rollins pulled this match off because he pissed off Riddle at every turn to force him to make a mistake to the point where he grabbed a chair, blew it, and hit an avalanche curb stomp. Seth Rollins is incredible. This guy can lose and it doesn't matter.
No.
And now that Triple H is there, like I know he's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get Wrestler of the Year. Fuck you guys.
Damn near.
Maybe not this year,
It's
but
like,
next
yo,
year.
every match I'm getting is 18 to 20 minutes.
This guy's cooking, man. He's on fire.
And Riddle looked great,
He did,
even in losing.
yeah.
Keep it going.
Because we're gonna do it in Extreme Rules.
That's exactly what listen, run it back.
I think parts of the start of this match, especially the ring walks, I think there was a missed opportunity. I think this was a good time for Matt Riddle to ditch the scooter. I think he should have like come out and just been ready for violence. Like again, this guy went on TV and called him a bitch ass, talked about his family not wanting to see him anymore. Like this dude cut to the freaking bone on Matt Riddle, and he still comes out. He's dude, like. Okay, I get that's his character. You want to do the bird graphic thing that still looks horrible.
I think it was fish.
It was fish this time.
It was fish.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. You're right. It was fish. But like this is a chance to like amplify him getting an edge, and maybe they're waiting to do this when they have an Extreme Rules match, which I think we all agree that's where this is going. But yeah, how over must you be when you can say that shit in a promo and the whole crowd. A whole match for Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And also Seth Rollins coming out in the Elton John gear.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Impact.
That I popped and I had to pause the stream like, God damn, he did this. he's what can you say about Seth Rollins?
Locked in.
He somehow is like both like properly rated and underrated all at the same time. It's just like the dude just knows how to show up every time he's on the card. I never get upset because I know I'm getting 100% something good from Seth Rollins.
Real quick before we get to this main event, another problem, like you mentioned, the Elton John thing, just jarred my memory. AEW paid for the Rolling Stones' "Sympathy for the Devil."
Oh, incredible!
But we're not
song.
talking about it anymore because of CM Punk. That's all I gotta say about it.
Incredible song, incredible entrance for like MJF coming out in the devil mask. Like
they blew it.
I don't even know how much they had to pay to license that.
I don't know. But
got to be a Khan family friend.
All right, let's get to this main event, and I just want to say, it's so great to see Solo Sikoa because now this bloodline just looks indestructible.
Only one more to go.
Who?
Naomi. It's just one more to go.
Well, you got to get her back to work first.
That's it. Like, bring her home.
But I thought this match wasn't great. It was good. The Drew McIntyre entrance was fantastic. There are a couple of near falls that were incredible. I know a lot of people were like, I thought Drew should have went over, and I'm like, no, this is Roman's time.
Yes.
And you introduce Solo Sikoa, so now the bloodline is thorough, and now you have a reason to get rid of Sami Zayn.
How dare them? Acknowledge this man.
Yeah, but now you can get rid of Sammy because you got Solo there.
Oh.
There's so many ways you can go to this. But yeah, man, acknowledge the man. It was a good match. It wasn't the match of the weekend, but it was a very good match.
Yes. And then Sammy rift continues, and KO had an amazing Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
Him versus Theory was the highlight of Monday Night Raw. And Austin Theory won. He got his first name back. Kevin Owens recognized that. And Austin Theory held his own.
Theory being unable to cash in is now the new joke.
That's amazing.
He got snuffed by Tyson Fury.
Yep.
And
then messed up on his lines and blamed his jaw in the punch, which is incredible.
Yeah, good thinking, Austin Theory. But yeah, I thought this match was really good. Clash of the Castle was my favorite show this weekend.
Yep.
It was the brevity of it. The crowd was hot. Aside from Liv Morgan, every match pretty much delivered, either in storyline or in match quality. Yeah, and it's totally fair to say that to me.
Acknowledge that, man. He's not going to win any Wrestler of the Year awards. No. I don't think.
No.
But he is the man in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Out of any company. Can't say he's not.
Yes. I mean, that final stretch of, Claymore, kick out, it was very well done.
Drew kicking out of the spears. Oh.
Very well done.
Amazing match. We're going to NXT before we get out of here.
Dude. Ricochet and Carmelo Hayes.
Rick O'Shea.
If there was no Gunther, if there was no trios match, like this match was so good. If you're looking at this and going, that's not your champion, that's your champion. I know that Braun's your guy, and the Braun Bate match was really good, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you look at Carmelo Hayes and was like, that's not your guy,
he is
the guy.
Looks like $1 million.
Looks, works, Trick adds to it. Just this was a fantastic opener.
Cole, what did you think of the NXT opener?
Oh, I mean, this was as soon as they announced it, it was like, what did I do to deserve this? Did I win something? Did I get a cookie? Like what happened? Like as soon as like Ricochet came out, and it was definitely a weird NXT, but a good NXT too, with all the people kind of coming back and kind of converging. I do think it was weird that Butch Dunn suddenly went back to being the Butch character for the Clash of the Castle after he gave Tyler Bate the kind of inspirational speech. But yeah, this was so good. I mean, just they're both. You put Carmelo Hayes, who is already a superstar, on the rise, and you put him in a match with a guy who can go can do step for step. If anything, can do. He's quicker than that. He's going to teach Carmelo Hayes the ropes a little bit here. Mm-hmm. It was perfect. I mean, Carmelo Hayes is a superstar. There's just no question about it.
And I'm in no rush to bring him up.
No, he can establish your NXT 2.0 as something that you must watch.
And yeah, like you said, great from start to finish. Ricochet didn't look weak.
No.
Good match. I liked the storytelling.
Them both going for springboard cutters and crashing. It was great. It was great.
Tell you what, that's Tyler Bate and Carmelo Hayes should get in the ring.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Definitely.
That's money.
Next up, I'm so proud of this. Fatal 4-way tag team elimination match.
Hey, they got what's the name of them out of there quick, and I was like, yes, Briggs and
Oh,
Jensen.
Yeah, Jensen and
He's a-
Briggs, which really just beer money. just
I mean, it's
beer money
It's a
2.0.
broke ass beer money.
Yeah, so they were out of there quick, and they had the belts. But the Creed brothers look amazing, as always. I mean, Gallus looked good.
Yeah.
For when they were in there. I thought it played out perfect to how it should. There's some dissension in Diamond Mine, obviously, now.
That's Gabe Stevenson's brothers.
Gabe Stevenson's brother is a savage,
Yeah.
right? Like, he just randomly turns on all of them. Somebody beat up Roddy. Maybe he beat up Roddy. Maybe he's like going like super heel.
Yeah. I don't know. Roddy shouldn't be. They gotta get Roddy the hell out of there. But Pretty Deadly wins. I thought
Those are my boys.
I was totally fine with the match. It wasn't like outstanding, but I think they got to where they needed to go.
They wore lace. You can't deny these men.
Well,
They're not even crop tops. They wore lace shoulder sleeves. Oh, those guys are. That's my new tag. Like I like 2.0. I like all the weird tag teams.
clearly.
These are my guys. They deserve both of those titles. They took a amazing picture on Instagram where they're just like eating fruit in bed with the titles on them, hair luxuriously flowing. So, Coale, I'll pitch you. Third member. Pretty Deadly. You got to go babyface again, but the hair is there.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna look in those that shoulder lace.
In the shoulder
I
lace.
don't know.
We'll figure it out.
There's gonna have to be a lot of work that happens before that happens.
I'll send some
Before
to your crib. You got
No,
Amazon, right?
it's good.
I'll Amazon Prime you some lace.
Nah, we're good. Nah, it is I can't go out wearing that. I'll embarrass.
Not
people,
working.
including myself.
Mandy Rose versus Michael Satorama and Blair Davenport.
I think the wrong woman won. I didn't need to see Mandy retain. She
I'm
didn't add a
perfectly
whole
fine.
lot to this match, and then she just kind of hit the knee, and it was like, all right.
She did all right.
I mean, I just feel like Toxic Attraction's ready to move on,
Yeah.
and Satomura could have stayed and could have been champion, but whatever. Bea Priestley was there to eat the pin. I called her Bea Priestley. I'm sorry, Blair now, but she's still Bea Priestley to me. She was there to eat the pin. Whatever. Match was, it was what it was.
Coale.
Yeah, I found it. I'm not surprised that they took the direction of Mandy. I think they made this a triple threat on purpose to make that foil a little bit more acceptable. But I think again, I agree. I think Mandy's ready to go up and play a heel role. There's definitely a role there that needs to be played. Again, this could have been a good foil for Liv Morgan.
Impeccable foil.
I think Mandy Rose and Liv Morgan could have a really good program back and forth. And Toxic Attraction would be a great foil going up there to the women's tag division, especially when Damage Control wins. I think Toxic Attraction might be able to get over as babyface in that. You never know. We'll see. But I think, they're ready to go, but also I think maybe they're waiting to sort out the Raquel and Aaliyah stuff with the tag titles and figuring out how to get them on Damage Control, which they could have done in the first place. But
And
let them play it out.
someone
Let's
has
see
to
it
take the
play out.
NXT title, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Someone has to be ready.
Now you're stuck in a spot where it's like, well, who's going to be Brandy? And obviously it seems like it's going to be Roxanne Perez at some point, right? Like
I think
she's the
Sure.
one. But we'll see.
And then we have Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, Dewdrop, Nikki ASH. We can kind of skip this.
We can because, like I said, like it did nothing for me. Katana, they look like they're doing ballet. Nothing seems so believable. And to not have Nikki as come out as Nikki Cross in front of that crowd was a mistake. To not have Dewdrop as Piper Nevin was a mistake.
But on Raw, in the back of when Control was walking out, Damage Control was walking out to do their promo, you see Nikki ASH talking to Dewdrop, and she like takes the mask off, throws it at her.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the crowd. I mean, like, you're coming back to NXT. Be your NXT selves
No,
again.
but then you cut a promo. We went down, and they reminded us of who we are.
Whatever, let's move on.
So,
I'm not buying
and
it.
Toxic Attraction came out afterwards. So it's like, are they chasing those belts?
Whatever.
Yes. So they might be stuck there for a little longer. Main event, Braun Breaker versus Tyler Bates. before we get out of here.
This was a good match.
The best Braun Breaker match I've seen.
All right, Braun wins. Still think Tyler Bate should have won. I still think Braun Breaker needs to turn heel. But the spear that Braun hit Bate with at the end,
Slice him out.
beautiful because the explosion on that was perfect. But Tyler Bate's he's really good.
Yes.
Like he's really big, strong boy, really good. I just think like Steiner. I had tweeted that Steiner's entering Rocky Maivia territory, and people were like, no. And I was like, my point is like he's going to be a better heel than he's ever going to be a babyface right now.
Steiner is 25 years old.
Yeah,
Tyler Bate is 24.
which is crazy.
All his accolades. He's 24 years old.
He's incredible.
The future, because we always look at AEW, we know their future.
The
It's
future
bright
is
as hell.
Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, the future, for whatever shitty stuff 2.0 does, their future is still very bright.
No, they have a ton of talent. I think if Triple H is looking at this show, which I feel like he absolutely had a hand in this show, he knows what he has, which is why Briggs and Jensen got eliminated so quick.
Yeah.
You remember I said there's some people that are going to see Triple H and go, oh, fuck, the jig is up.
Yep.
People like that. But the people that deserve it, that have great matches, like, they're not going to mess up with Tyler Bate. I'm sure we're probably going to get Tyler Bate and Carmelo Hayes. I just, with Braun.
I just think Briggs
it's
and
fine.
Jensen, they'll figure it out too.
Yeah,
It's just not your time right now.
I'm cool.
That gimmick goes over for everyone.
Yeah, well.
So they'll make it work. Just not right now. Cole, last thoughts on this main event and NXT before we get out of here.
That's a lot of wrestling. That's all I'm going to say. It was a lot of wrestling. I think we all need a break, and we ain't getting one because CM Punk decided to create some drama here. So, I mean, look, it was. I think for the most part, I don't think you could say there was a bad card between all three of them. I think definitely there were some that were better than others, but each had really good matches. I think there was a little something for everybody this weekend. I think there's a potential match of the year candidate this weekend. Just that was a lot. And we're going to just keep going until this whole CM Punk stuff kind of figures itself out.
Cole, it was 11 hours of pro wrestling Saturday and Sunday, and we led the show with a press conference.
Yeah.
That is the best way to sum this all up.
Incredible.
Buckle up. It's gonna
Shout
be
out
one,
Mindy's Bakery.
It's going to be one hell of a ride in pro wrestling. I'm telling you, I joked with Dre earlier. I was like, yo, we might have to do 8 straight pro wrestling shows because it's just so crazy. But we'll be coming back later on in the week.
Because we got to talk Jake Paul and Anderson Silva, baby.
Yes, MMA and boxing shows later on in the week. So we appreciate you all. We truly do. Make sure you guys follow us on social media at Corner Podcast _ on Twitter, Corner Club for Life on Instagram. Check out our YouTube where you can see our pretty faces, thanks to Brian, on the lights. Check that out as well. Producer Coale Bay Bay, Coltrane on all social media platforms. Me at Kel Dansby, him at Andreas Hale. Everyone here at Blue Wire Studios in the win. Jeremiah holding it down in there today on the boards, making us sound good. I'm trying to figure out who else is in there. I don't think Ross is here today. So Nick is over there working the cameras. We appreciate everyone. Till next time, we're out.
Peace.